It's the transformation moment. It's the moment that you really see the character staring back at you.
The new series, The Rings of Power, has made quite a splash among audiences. As the highest budget series in history, this show is nothing if not visually amazing. But how was it for the actors to wear the makeup, prosthetics, and costumes required to create these characters? We've got all the behind the scenes details, so buckle in.
A lot of blood, sweat and tears have gone into this.
Number 1. These boots were made for strength training. According to Sofia Nomvetti, who plays Princess Disa, her gold boots gave her quads of steel by the end of the run, and said that they were a few kilos per boot. Number 2. To transform human actors into the kinds of creatures we see in the Rings of Power universe, it's no surprise that it takes a bit longer in the makeup chair than it takes your average person to do their eyeliner for the day. We were still surprised by just how time-consuming these makeup routines were though. Owain Arthur, who plays Durin IV, appeared at the Lord of the Rings The Rings of Power panel at San Diego Comic-Con, and he talked to fans about just how long it took to change his appearance. Apparently, before every shoot, Arthur spent 3 hours getting makeup and prosthetics applied. But that wasn't all. It took him about 45 minutes to get the makeup removed each day after filming. Number 3. We can all agree that Owain Arthur is totally unrecognizable as Prince Durin IV. And while there are clearly plenty of facial prosthetics at work to turn him into a totally different species, one major difference is the beard. This beard actually came in 16 separate pieces. A goal with Durin IV's facial hair was that it needed to allow Arthur to move his face freely and have the beard move without it pulling on his skin, or making it hard to make any facial expressions. You know, like a real beard. His entire hair situation was composed of a wig and mustache, plus neck hairs, sideburns, an underbeard, chin pieces, and even nostril hair. To answer your inevitable next question, yes, it was human hair. It was also partially horse, Angora goat, and yak hair. And according to Arthur, it weighed as much as a newborn baby. Jane O'Kane, the head of the makeup and hair department, called it an extensive jigsaw puzzle of facial hair. Number 4. Have you ever heard of nose cones? Nose cones were one of the many tiny pieces of Durin IV's incredible beard. According to Arthur, they attached to the edge of the nose and curled upwards. We definitely never thought of the tiny hairs around someone's nose as an important part of a beard, but that's probably why this beard looks so realistic. Number 5. If you, like us, are trying to imagine wearing a 16-piece beard that weighs as much as a human baby while also sporting a fake nose, tons of makeup, and layers upon layers of clothes, now try to imagine doing all that in the summertime in New Zealand. Yeah, we need an ice cold lemonade and to stick our heads in the freezer just thinking about it. Yet, that's exactly what Owain Arthur and the cast experienced, as they shot The Rings of Power's first season from February through August. To make this process at least a little easier, Arthur sported a cooling vest when he underwent his intense makeup routine. Number 6. Durin IV is a super short dwarf. The actor who plays him, Owain Arthur, on the other hand, is 5'9". So what kind of amazing movie magic and special effects went into making him look smaller? A lot less than you think actually. Arthur simply got down on his knees while his fellow actors stood on ladders. Number 7. If you watch The Rings of Power's first few episodes, there's probably one thing in particular that comes to mind when you think about the series' makeup and prosthetics. Those prosthetic elf ears. The ears don't even look fake. The only way we know that they're prosthetics is because we know that Morfydd Clark, who plays Galadriel, isn't an actual elf, though she is pretty convincing in this role. Clark says,
"It was an amazing prosthetics artist, Irina, painting them day and night."
And says that they were even painting tiny veins on the ears. All that attention to detail definitely paid off. Number 8. It was important to make the orcs look realistic as well as fit with the rest of Tolkien's lore, all while allowing the actors who played them to actually fight. As a result, the orcs' prosthetics were designed to let them move easily. They also have extra lines, scars, and wrinkles on their skin to show the orcs' pasts. Number 9. It took quite a lot of effort to make the Harfoots look like Harfoots as well. Sarah Zangabani plays the Harfoot Marigold Brandyfoot, and she said that she was excited to get her costume until she realized she'd be wearing huge feet and getting covered in mud. She joked that this was a bit of a come down. She went on to explain that those feet made things pretty difficult at first, but in her words, we had this incredible team of people who kept refining them, and by the end, they became part of us and we didn't want to take them off. Number 10. After seeing all those amazing costumes, it's very clear that cosplayers are going to be super excited about recreating looks from the Rings of Power. In reality though, this actually had a little something to do with the actual costume design process. The costume designer, Kate Hawley, set out to make sure that the inevitable cosplayers would struggle to replicate her intricate designs. And it's safe to say she did a good job. It'll take a pretty dedicated cosplayer to make a 16-piece beard, but we're sure somebody at Comic-Con will make it happen. Number 11. The Orcs, in particular, are pretty amazing to look at, and it's wild to think that creatures like that aren't actually real. Morfydd Clark agrees and says that even though they know that the Orcs aren't actually real, it's still scary to see them running towards you. Yeah, that's completely fair. She does say though, they're uniquely unfrightening when they're drinking a smoothie in between takes. Orcs, they're just like us. Number 12. So, how did those orcs look so convincing? The orcs' facial prosthetics were made from something called encapsulated silicone. This is 2 layers of silicone that have a piece of silicone between them that can move. This way, they can move their faces with ease. This means that the new orcs look a lot more realistic than those from The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, back in 2001. According to Jamie Wilson, the head of the prosthetic department of the Rings of Power, the new materials work with the actors, moving with their skin and reaching the same temperature as the actor's skin, growing transparent, making the application of the intense orc makeup that much simpler. Number 13. Wigs for fantasy series can be a difficult thing to make look realistic. Internet backlash towards a certain other current fantasy show has proven that to be true, but we aren't naming any names. The Rings of Power characters, on the other hand, have some very convincing hair. According to Sofia Nomvedi, her hair and costumes were what made her character come alive. She added that her wig garnered the nickname Gloria. Number 14. With all the work, money, attention to detail, and incredible amounts of patience required to make these characters come to life via costumes and makeup, it's easy to wonder, why put the actors through all of this when it could all be added in via CGI? Well, Jamie Wilson says that it was extremely important to the folks making this series that it was all real as possible. In his words, there are hundreds of productions that are heavy on visual effects, and you can see it, that the human eye is getting better and better, and knows what is real and knows what isn't. Number 15. While being in hair and makeup for so long was certainly challenging for this cast, that doesn't mean the only upside to the Rings of Power makeup was the incredible real result. Sarah Zangabani had to spend her fair share of time in the makeup chair to turn into her Harfoot character, Marigold Brandyfoot. She said, "I sang songs with my fellow actors, Megan Richards, Markella Kavanaugh. I talked to my great team. Sometimes I just thought about my character and what I was going to do for the day. 2.5 hours sounds like a long time, but we actually had a great time. So it was like no time passed." What do you think about the costumes, prosthetics, and makeups in the Rings of Power? How would you feel about sitting in the makeup chair for hours before work every day? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you love videos like this one, be sure to like and subscribe to The Things for all the latest in TV and movies.